This question's for Tia. Tia, you announce your retirement. Or is it a retirement, or are you...
The question, is the landscape of the CrossFit Games changing? Are we about to see two of the greatest athletes to ever compete in this sport hang it up?
Do you come back one more time, or is this the end?
That's the question. We'll see.
Tia-Clair Toomey won her 6th consecutive CrossFit Games. Usually you'd think the question after would be, are you considering retiring? And that was the question, but it was kind of announced before that.
Move over Matt. Step aside Rich. For the 6th time, and for the final time, Tia Toomey is the fittest woman on earth.
So I do imagine he got information from Tia herself or someone in her camp that was her plan. But then when she was actually asked the question, she just said, well, that's the question essentially. And she didn't give us a concrete answer, which is fine. She does not have to retire at this point. But I do remember watching what Sean was narrating. Now, I couldn't hear Sean Woodland. I was in the arena, so we don't hear what's happening on the broadcast. But I was watching her, Tia-Clair Toomey, do these bar muscle-ups and pause at the top. And she is an elite athlete. She did not need to pause for any sort of recovery reasons. She was pausing, in my mind, at least I assumed, to take it all in. And then when I saw the broadcast with Sean Woodland, that's what he was insinuating as well. There was a volunteer right next to me, and I said to that volunteer, I think this is Tia's last time on the floor. Just from the way that she was holding herself, carrying herself, the way that she was moving through those muscle-ups and pausing. I couldn't even see her face, which also made that seem apparent as well. I just saw her from behind in her body language, and I thought it was it. But then when Nikki Brazier asked her the question, she said, that's the question. And that makes me think that there is definitely a chance she will be retiring. Last year, they asked her that same question after her 5th consecutive win, and she said she'd be back. So there is more question this year. And I can see her retiring after this year. We're not likely to see another 6 consecutive winner. Anything can happen. Sure, the sport is so young, but I think with so many more people coming into the sport, it's going to become harder and harder and harder to just win that many times. And we saw it this weekend that the next generation, Emma Lawson, Mal O'Brien, who's 18 years old and was on the podium, they're coming up right behind her. Now, she still had a dominant lead and basically just had to do the minimum work in that last event to win. So it wasn't like it was that close at the end of the day. And really it was only close because she tripped on a single under and had to restart a set of 75. Otherwise, it may have been another runaway weekend for Tia. So people may say that she doesn't look, that it wasn't as dominant, but I think it could have easily been as dominant if it wasn't for that one rep. So I think Tia can still compete. I think Tia could make a 7th run and likely win a 7th time. Other people are saying that maybe the Boz's programming is different. It'll become more difficult for her to do with his programming. They're training really hard down there in Tennessee at Proven. And no, they had no idea what Bosman's programming was going to look like this week. But you know what? They know for next year. And Tia would do plenty of single unders between now and next year to prepare for the games. So I don't think that should be where people's head is at. I think she can still win if she wants to win. In the media conference after the podium celebration, Patrick Clark, who works for Morning Chalk Up, asked the question again, and I like that he did. And this was her response.
This question's for Tia. Tia, you announce your retirement. Or is it a retirement, or are you...
Well, technically, I didn't announce my retirement.
Correct.
But we'll see. You know, there's a bit of a trend going around, announcing your retirement and then coming back. But I'll just keep you guys guessing.
So again, she doesn't want to announce it yet. And maybe that's because she has an announcement plan that she wants to do on her own. Maybe she's just uncertain at this time, which is totally fine too. I was talking with someone about this, and that person turned to someone in her camp and asked if this was Tia's last year. That person did not. So there has been talks, obviously. That's probably why Sean Woodland had that idea that it was her last year. That's why Kiki, who does the announcing on the floor, said to everyone in the Coliseum to stick around because this was going to be Tia's final event, the podium. But this person from Tia's camp, after nodding, went on to say that they could imagine in a few months Tia being like, I don't want to sit out, I still want to compete. So I just think that she just won, and that she's not at this point where she feels done, where she's exhausted, where she wants it to be over. I don't think that's how she feels. I think she still loves it. I think she CrossFits because she loves it, sort of like Rich Froning, and she's not gonna go and not fitness anymore after this. So I think that there's just still a lot of questions. But another thing that kind of hints that retirement might be there were just how many family members Tia had from Australia there watching her. You could see them in the arena, in the front row all weekend. Her parents, her sister, you could tell they were related. They look a lot alike. And that's a lot of people, and it's a very far trip and a very expensive trip. And there has to be, I mean, it might just be that they couldn't ever make it before and this is their first time getting the opportunity, but that could be a hint of something, or it just, they had the option this year. So I just don't know how much we should be reading into all of this, but I did mention Rich Froning a few seconds ago, and Patrick Clark also posed the same question to Rich Froning.
And Rich, for you.
I plead the fifth. Yeah, same thing. You know, I just want to enjoy this with the team, with my family, and in a couple weeks, you know, we'll get. It's always every year. As a team, I'm probably done with team, but who knows if I'm still competing somewhere else. We'll see.
So Rich, we've been talking about all season, is he going to retire? He didn't want to give an answer either. But he did say that he thinks this is it for him for teams. So I think that really just leads us to the question of, is he going to pursue Masters? It would be crazy if he went back into the individual field. But there's a real possibility of Masters, and he's mentioned that he would consider Masters in the past. So this could be that. He's 35 and he can do it now. He can be a master, and I think he can bring a lot of attention and a lot of eyes to that space. I was covering Masters all weekend, and it's a really cool environment, and it doesn't get enough attention because we don't know as many of the athletes as we do with the individuals. If someone like Rich Froning went in there, all eyes would be on the men's 35-39 division Masters. So at the end of the day, we just really don't know if these people are retiring just yet. Tia, I could see possibly taking some time off. Maybe she wants to have a child. All women do not have to have children if they don't want to, but I've seen her interact with children a lot, and she seems to like children. Like me, I'm a little afraid of children, but Tia seems to like kids. So it seems like that could be a possibility for her. Certainly not something she has to do, but it would require a season off, just with the amount of the toll that takes on your body. You have to take time off to actually have the pregnancy and then recover your body. So that could be a reason we don't see her. There's just a lot of questions still, and I think ultimately no one should be announcing it for her. We should wait for her to do it, and she'll do it in her own time. I don't think any pushing is going to get her to do it sooner if she doesn't want to. But my instinct watching the last event was that this may have been Tia's last year. But with Rich, I still feel a little bit differently. That may be some bias just based on my experiences with Rich. Tia, I have been at CrossFit Games game. I've been at a CrossFit game where Tia wasn't part of the field. I went to the 2014 games a couple weeks after starting CrossFit just to see what it was about because I happened to be in the area, and Tia wasn't there yet. And that was Rich's last year as an individual. So I can envision a CrossFit Games without Tia. It is a little bit harder for me to envision a CrossFit Games without Rich because every games other than the 2021 that was virtual and had no team competition involved Rich Froning. And I truly believe Rich loves CrossFit. Rich is going to be in that barn working out day in and day out himself, not just training people, himself, for as long as he can. So he might just want to continue to put that fitness to the test if he feels like he can perform well. So I think both these athletes at this point are celebrating these amazing accomplishments. Tia, 6 consecutive wins, and Rich, 10 first place finishes at the games. And I think they just need some time to celebrate and decompress before their decisions. Now, minutes after I put out this video, they could announce that they're retiring. I obviously don't know for sure, but I'm just telling you what I gathered from being there this weekend and being in the CrossFit space for 8 years. Now, Patrick Clark also asked one more athlete if they're retiring. I'm gonna put that right here.
And I'm assuming, Mal, you're not going to retire?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. All right.
So we will see 18-year-old Mal O'Brien back again next year. No surprises there. I think she still has hopes for the top of the podium and still has a lot of years left. Initially, this video was going to be day 5 at the CrossFit Games, but I felt like this was such an important topic and I wanted to touch on it as soon as possible. I will have day 5 at the Games out in the next couple of days, so make sure to look out for that. Subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Lots of other stuff coming in the future. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I'll see you in the next one. Also, this is probably the last time I'm reporting from this bathroom at my hotel room because I fly back to San Francisco in a few hours. See you later. This was great. I appreciate all of you.